So things changed completely after September 11th, 2001. What we considered normal up until that moment became history. Security, especially at airports, took on a new form. The United States created the TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, an entire agency dedicated to protecting air transport. Since the United States is a global reference, this change quickly spread to the rest of the world. One of the first concrete measures was the installation of reinforced cockpit doors in commercial aircraft operating there. At first, it was only for American flights, but aircraft manufacturers, Embraer, Airbus, and Boeing, were not going to produce two different versions of the same model. In a short time, the rule became a global standard. Today, any regular passenger aircraft anywhere in the world, including Brazil, flies with reinforced armored cockpit doors. It was a turning point. The Americans already knew years before that there was a serious security flaw with open cockpits. They just didn't know exactly when, where, or how the problem would explode. When it happened, global aviation entered a crisis. The images of American Airlines and United Airlines were marked for a long time. Let's go back to the context of that day. The terrorists had already been inside the United States for some time. They took flight training courses there. There are reports that they asked to learn only how to take off and not how to land. I don't know if that's myth or fact, but the training did exist. 4 flights were hijacked. One of them, United 93, crashed in Pennsylvania after passengers fought back and tried to regain control. It's believed the target was the Capitol or the White House. The other 3 hit their targets. 2 Boeing 677 aircraft, American Airlines 11 and United 175, departed from Boston bound for Los Angeles. The first struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center at around 8:46 a.m. The second hit the South Tower about 15 minutes later. A Boeing 757, American Airlines 77, which was headed to Dallas, struck the Pentagon. At the time, in 2001, there were no real-time tracking apps like today. Air traffic controllers saw the deviations, but no one imagined it was an attack. The first impact was treated as an accident. Only when the second plane appeared live on TV did the world understand it was intentional. The Boeing 677 is a large, wide-body aircraft capable of carrying around 300 people. Piloting an aircraft of that size at low altitude, maintaining straight and level flight, and making the precise turn to hit the South Tower is not simple. It's not just a matter of aiming. The aircraft is not fly-by-wire like more modern models. It requires constant control input adjustments. The terrorists had simulator training and knew how to disengage the autopilot, take manual control, adjust pitch and power. Even so, hitting a tall building at low altitude, especially with a tight turn before the second impact, required technical skill. The fuel in the wings and fuselage helped ignite the structure. The towers were designed in the 1960s to 70s to withstand the impact of a Boeing 727, a smaller aircraft of that era. The 677 is much larger and was full of fuel. The jet fuel fire weakened the steel. The tower's steel structure, unlike older buildings such as the Empire State Building, which contain more concrete, could not withstand the high temperatures for hours. Both towers collapsed. But one thing that intrigues many people is Building 7, which was not hit by a plane, yet also collapsed hours later. The collapse of World Trade Center Building 7 raises an intriguing question. How did a skyscraper that was not struck by an aircraft collapse so quickly and in an apparently symmetrical way? Many people think only 2 towers fell that day, but in fact there were 3. This opened space for various conspiracy theories, including the idea that the building was brought down through controlled demolition using explosives. At first, attention focused on a statement by Larry Silverstein, the building's owner, which some interpreted as a possible reference to demolition. Additionally, the speed of the collapse drew a lot of attention. Larry Silverstein was a New York real estate investor with decades of experience, but he'd never managed to acquire the heart of the city, the World Trade Center. He purchased one of the largest real estate complexes in the world for $3.2 billion, and just 6 weeks later, everything was completely destroyed by the September 11th attack. Larry had a religious habit, having lunch every day at the restaurant at the top of the North Tower. But on that day, his wife insisted he go to the dermatologist. That saved his life. Some skeptical scientists analyzed dust samples from Ground Zero and claimed to have found materials that could indicate the presence of thermite substances. From this, theories emerged suggesting there were explosives not only in Building 7, but also in the Twin Towers. On the other hand, official reports dispute these claims. According to extensive investigations, the collapse was caused by intense fires that lasted about 7 hours after the fall of the North Tower. These fires are said to have severely damaged the building's structure, worsened by failures in emergency systems. According to these reports, there is no evidence of explosives or of explosions typical of controlled demolitions. The materials found in the dust can be explained by common components present in the buildings themselves. Institutions like the U.S. Geological Survey analyzed the data and found no evidence supporting the explosives hypothesis. In the end, the search for answers shows how complex the collapse of Building 7 was, revealing details that challenge simplistic theories and deepen our understanding of this tragic event. There was significant ground vibration, the area is landfill, and underground fires that lasted for more than 100 days. Conspiracy theories emerged because in 2001, cameras were scarce. Most were VHS or mini-DV. There were no smartphones recording everything. But debris of the plane that hit the Pentagon does exist. Parts of the tail, engines, fuselage. The images were limited because the technology was different.
At the Pentagon, the impact was even more difficult. The building is low, only 5 stories tall. The aircraft was flying almost at ground level. The terrorists also had simulator training for this type of flight. The black boxes were recovered. They're made of titanium, silica, and materials resistant to fire and impact. The orange color is meant to make them easier to locate. It's a rare color in nature and different from any other part of the aircraft. They're not black, but bright orange. They can withstand extreme temperatures, but they are not indestructible. If they were used to build the entire airplane, the aircraft would be too heavy to fly. The airplane needs to be lightweight while also absorbing energy and impacts. It's like a car. The body crumples on purpose to protect those inside. After September 11th, aviation learned. Reinforced cockpit doors prevent a single pilot from being alone inside. Today, there are always at least 2 people in the cockpit. Airports gained more advanced X-ray systems, body scanners, and detectors that no longer require removing shoes or laptops from bags. Random screening exists precisely to avoid loopholes. The TSA became a global trend. Since then, there has not been another attack of the same scale involving commercial aircraft. Security continues to evolve. Now, regarding what happened before and during that day, there are documented facts that raise questions. In 1993, there had already been an attack in the underground parking garage of the World Trade Center. FBI informant Imad Salam, a former Egyptian army officer, recorded conversations with the terrorists and with the FBI itself. He warned that the bomb was being prepared and suggested replacing the explosives with something harmless. The FBI allowed it to proceed. After the attack, which killed 6 people and injured more than 1,000, Salem presented the tapes. The case was suppressed. A year and a half before September 11th, a prisoner named Michael Riconoscuito, who had contacts in the Arab world, warned the FBI about plans to hijack airplanes and use them as missiles against American targets. He provided names and details. The FBI interviewed the source, deported the informant and his family. After the attack, the FBI itself admitted it had received the information in advance and did not act.
Ted Gunderson, a former senior FBI special agent with 27 years of experience and a background in counterterrorism, investigated these cases. He pointed to seismic readings in the subsoil before the collapses, molten steel in the basements that jet fuel alone could not have melted, and underground fires that lasted 100 days. Larry Silverstein, the owner of the complex, had renewed terrorism insurance shortly before. On the day of the attack, he was not at the office. Members of the Bush family had connections with companies responsible for World Trade Center security. Several people received emails warning them not to go to work. Gold stored in the basement disappeared. The Pentagon was hit one day after Donald Rumsfeld announced that $3 trillion were missing from the military budget accounting. Shortly after the attacks, Congress passed the Patriot Act, which created the concept of enemy criminal law. The presumption of innocence for terrorism suspects ended. The TIA project, Total Information Awareness, emerged, focused on total surveillance. When Congress cut funding, the project moved to the private sector. 2 days later, Facebook was born. Social networks, Google, Palantir Technologies, all were born or gained strength in the context of the war on terror. Big data became a tool of control. September 11th changed the world. It changed aviation, security, laws, and the way we are monitored, and it left questions that to this day have not been answered in a way that convinces everyone. The facts are there, recorded in documents, recordings, reports, and testimonies. Each person can draw their own conclusions. The important thing is to look carefully, without skipping steps, because the complete logic only appears when we piece together all the parts of the puzzle that day left behind.